On this edition of the Left Bench TV, we've got previews of the much-anticipated men's and women's basketball seasons.
UMD welcomes its first 2 Chick Evans scholars for golf caddies to campus.
All of the latest on your favorite fall sports as they start to wrap up their regular seasons.
And how one Maryland basketball player is turning a tragedy into motivation for this season. The Left Bench TV starts now.
Hello and welcome back to Left Bench TV, your sideline source for all things Maryland sports. I'm Tino, Quagliata.
And I'm Lauren Haffner. Fall sports are already gearing up for the postseason and basketball season is quickly approaching. So let's get right to it.
Coming off a bye week, Maryland football returned to action on Saturday at Minnesota and the Terps got rolled. Maryland took an early 3-0 lead, but it was quickly squandered by a field goal and 2 straight rushing touchdowns by the Gophers. Later, Maryland had a golden opportunity at the end of the half to return a block kick, but they came up empty and went into the break trailing by a touchdown. Everything went downhill in the second half, however. The Terps allowed back-to-back scores in the third, which both contributed to the Gophers' remarkable 326 yards gained on the ground. Maryland added a garbage time TD to make the final score 34-16.
The drops on the offensive side of the ball, the penalties continuing, these are all things that every week we keep talking about, and either we got to get it fixed or we got to get those guys out of the game, off the field. And again, and it's not just the players, coaches too. We need to do a better job, like I said, teaching and demanding it, and we'll get that done.
The 4-3 Terps will return home to College Park this Saturday for the homecoming game against Indiana, and we'll preview that matchup later in the show with Griffin Gonzalez from the Hoosier Network.
Maryland men's soccer has been on a roll all season long. They're currently riding a 4-game win streak, powering them to an 11-2-1 record late in the season. The latest of those 4 wins was a 3-1 victory at Michigan State on Friday night. The 7th-ranked Terps opened struck first as Brian Padilla found the back of the net just 2 minutes in. The second goal came from Maryland's second highest goal scorer, Josh BOLMA, who buried his 4th of the year. The Terps put the game out of reach for the Spartans in the 65th minute when Ben Bender nailed his 3rd goal in the last 4 games. Sasha Surovsky's squad has only 2 games left on their slate. They'll head to Penn State on Tuesday and cap off the regular season against Indiana on Halloween, right here in College Park. Be sure to check our Katie Mars coverage of that much-anticipated matchup.
8th-ranked Maryland field hockey hit the road to the state of Michigan this weekend, and after handing Michigan State a shutout 4-0 loss on Friday, the Terps stuck around to pull off an upset against number 2 Michigan. Maryland came out on top 2-1 behind goals from Taylor Mason and BB Donrat, marking just the 2nd loss for the Wolverines this season and their only loss on their home field. The Terps are now 12-5 on the season and 3-4 in Big Ten play. Tournament play is almost upon us, and the Terps will return home for one last regular season game against 19th-ranked Ohio State on Friday. And our Nathan Schwartz will have the coverage from the Plex. Maryland currently sits in the bottom half of the Big Ten tourney bracket, so the home closer will prove crucial for the Terps before they soon head to Piscataway in November.
And the Spartans also took an L here in Maryland this weekend. Adam Hughes' volleyball team won its 2nd Big Ten matchup in a row against Michigan State on Saturday, taking them down for the 2nd time in a week. The Terps took the 1st and 2nd sets 25-20 thanks to Sam Sire, who had 19 total kills on the night. But come the 3rd set, Michigan State came back with heat, refusing to let the Terps sweep. The set went into a wild back-and-forth overtime until the Spartans took the win 28-25. Sydney Dowler led the Terps to a victory in the 4th set with an insane kill, and she reached a milestone of 1,000 career assists. The Spartans couldn't keep up, and the Terps sealed the deal 25-20. Dowler and the Terps will travel to Happy Valley on Friday to face Maryland volleyball legend Erica Pritchard and Penn State, hungry for a victory after losing 3-2 in their last match with the Nittany Lions.
Maryland women's soccer was handed a 2-1 loss in overtime against Michigan on Sunday, capping off its regular season with a 4-9-5 overall record and a conference record of 0-7-3. Ray Leon's squad has not won a Big Ten game since October of 2019, and they'll have to wait until next year to end the drought, as they did not qualify for the Big Ten tournament.
Great golfers will often tell you that they're nothing without their caddy, and this fall, 2 University of Maryland freshmen are building the bridge between the caddy community and UMD. Our Kevin McNulty explains.
Becca Lannon never thought her hope of being an Evans Scholar could be fulfilled at the University of Maryland.
It was super cool. I didn't expect to come here. I actually apply until January.
Lannon and fellow freshman Verada Molken are the first ever recipients of the scholarship intended for golf caddies to attend UMD.
For the caddies, I think it's going to be a really great way for them to kind of ease off the burden of tuition. It's a really great opportunity.
The Evans Scholars Foundation currently provides over 1,000 former and active golf caddies with tuition and housing at 21 different universities nationwide.
Just to know that you won't be burdened with paying like 4 years of debt that you can't afford, that's a really big tension reliever.
Scholars at 17 of the chapters live together in a house managed by the foundation. With the help of a $2 million donation from the Caves Valley Golf Club Foundation, the former Phi Gamma Delta fraternity house here in the Old Town neighborhood of College Park will become the new home of the Evans Scholars, who will trade their golf bag for their book bag.
Once I found out that I was coming here and it was going to be me and Verada for the first class, I definitely thought that it was super cool that it was us two girls.
For now, both freshmen live in brand new Pyeongchun Hall on North Campus, with hopes of moving into the scholarship house before they graduate. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Kevin McNulty.
The Evans Scholars are set to move into the renovated scholarship house in the fall of 2024 when Lannon and Malcon begin their senior year.
After the break, we've got a look into Maryland men's and women's basketball as they head into their 2021-22 campaigns.
And a look into how the rest of Big Ten football is doing heading into Week 9. Stay tuned.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to the Left Bench TV, where we already have basketball on the brain. Only 15 days remain until Maryland men's and women's basketball open the regular season at Xfinity Center. But one player on the men's team will be playing for more than just himself this year after a recent tragedy hit close to home. Reese Levin has more.
Marcus Dockery is ready to help the Terps make a run this season.
I think that from last year's team is good too. I can't really say anything bad about last year's team, but this year I feel like we have more. We have a swagger with us that I think we can keep, and I hope we will.
But he'll be playing his sophomore season with a heavy heart.
I mean, when I first found out, I didn't believe it at all. It kind of took a couple minutes, maybe even an hour to even let it sink in and realize that my friend who I played basketball with and his dreams about to come true is gone.
Dockery's friend and high school teammate, Terrence Clark, died in a car accident earlier this year at 19 years old.
He was the most jolly, happy person I've ever met. Like, whatever situation you put him in, he always found a way to make that situation good.
Clark, who was preparing for the NBA draft, didn't get to live out his dream. But Dockery is keeping his late friend with him, with a picture of him on a necklace.
Every day I wake up and I pray to him, keep a TC5 mindset. I'm always going to be positive. He always had a smile on his face. Just not even on the court, just off the court things. I miss my friend, and I will do anything it takes to keep his name on this earth.
Repping Clark on his chest, Dockery will be playing this season for more than just himself. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Reese Levin.
The NBA honored Clark at the draft this summer by inviting his mom, sister, and younger brother onto the stage with Commissioner Adam Silver. Silver said that the Clark family will forever be a part of the NBA family.
Returning Terps like Dockery have some new company in the locker room this year. After coach Mark Turgeon added 6 new players to his squad from the transfer portal, TLB's Shane Connick takes a look at Fats Russell and some of the newcomers who are looking to make a splash in the Big Ten.
When Maryland men's basketball tips off its season, it's going to have plenty of new faces on the court. One of those is Fats Russell, who joins the Terps after averaging 13.4 points per game over 4 years at Rhode Island. Coach Mark Turgeon's players in the backcourt now have a wide range in their heights. 5'11" Russell has been working with 6'8" Hakeem Hart.
King makes it tough for me. He's very good laterally for a 6'8" person, so he challenges me, and it helps me because I can learn how to get my shot off against different people.
The Terrapins have also brought in a major addition down low. Qudus Wahab stayed in the DMV and came to Maryland from Georgetown. Wahab worked with Coach Patrick Ewing on the Hoyas, and while there are plenty of lessons he's learned from the Hall of Famer, he's already enjoyed working with Coach Turgeon, Danny Manning, Matt Brady, and the rest of the Maryland staff.
A lot from Coach Manning, there's some little stuff that he teaches me that I feel like it's going to help me, like even on offense, how to post up better, how to get the ball. Like, he tells me every day to like call for the ball, yell and stuff like that. I feel like those stuff is going to really help me, be more a better player when the season starts.
Russell and Wahab are among 6 transfers this season. They joined Xavier Green, Pavlo Zuba, Simon Wright, and Ian Martinez. Students are granted an extra year of eligibility because of the pandemic. That's on top of everyone who's already in the portal. That gave Turgeon a much bigger pool of players to recruit this year, and he's happy with who he got.
Foremost, we look for personalities and competitors that are going to fit in, guys that love basketball, guys that I'm not going to worry about at night. They're making the right decisions. They are 18 to 22-year-old boys, if you've had one, but that's kind of what we look for, and we've been successful with that.
Maryland and its transfers begin their season on November 9th against Quinnipiac at the Xfinity Center. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Shane Cock.
You can only imagine how excited fans are to be able to see what the new and improved team will bring to the court this winter. But it's still October after all, and as we head deeper into the second half of the football season, we thought we'd take a step back and see how the rest of the Big Ten is doing. TLB's Ben Reitman joins us in the studio to give us a look around the Big Ten. Ben?
Thanks, Lauren. It's no secret that with 4 teams in the top 10 alone, the Big Ten holds a strong presence in college football right now. So let's take a look at what went down this past weekend. First up, the Wildcats of Northwestern headed to Ann Arbor to take on the 6th-ranked Michigan Wolverines. This game was scoreless until early in the second quarter when Blake Corum punched it in for Michigan, making it 7-0 Wolverines. Later in the quarter, the Wolverines were up 10-0 until Evan Hull took it all the way from 75 yards out, putting Northwestern on the board. Hassan Haskins ran this in for the Maize and Blue as Michigan ended up blowing it open and routing Northwestern 33-7. The Terps will welcome Michigan to College Park on November 20th. In one of the wildest games of the season, Illinois was able to upset Penn State in 9 overtimes. The game was tied at 10 at the end of the fourth quarter. The two teams traded field goals in the second overtime and were both held scoreless until the 8th overtime when they both scored 2-point conversions. Finally, in the 9th overtime, backup Illini quarterback Brandon Peters threw for the game-winning 2-point conversion to receiver Casey Washington, ending the game and completing the huge upset for Illinois. Ohio State traveled to take on Indiana, and here in the first quarter, Mion Williams puts the Buckeyes up early. Indiana would respond, though, thanks to the 7-yard pass from Jack Tuttle to Peyton Hendershot. Tying the game at 7, still in the first quarter, Travion Henderson caught this touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud, making it 14-7, and the Buckeyes rolled the rest of the way, winning 54-7. The 25th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers hosted Wisconsin after stunning the 2nd-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes on the road last week. Purdue came out flat as the Badgers dominated on the road, winning 30-13. Wisconsin running back Chaz Melsui ran wild for 149 yards on 27 carries and a touchdown. Now, ahead of some big games in the conference next week, let's take a look at the current standings. Ahead of their huge clash next week, Michigan and Michigan State are tied atop the Big Ten East, both at 4-0 in conference play. Ohio State and Penn State sit at 3rd and 4th, with those two squaring off in Columbus next week. The Terps fell to 1-3 in Big Ten play after their loss to Minnesota, and Indiana, Maryland's next opponent, sits at the bottom of the Eastern standings with Rutgers. In the West, Iowa and Minnesota sit at 3-1 at the top of the division. Wisconsin and Purdue both sit below them at 2-2, and Illinois moves up following their upset in Happy Valley, with Northwestern and Nebraska sitting at the bottom of the West, each with one conference win. The further we get into the season, the more intense these teams play, and it'll certainly be interesting to see what else goes on as we approach bowl games. Back to you, Lauren.
Thanks, Ben. Brenda Fries and company are officially ranked at number 4 in the preseason AP poll, and they're preparing for what should be a dynamic season at Xfinity. Our Judith Altnew has more on how the Terps' tough non-conference schedule is built to gear them up for March.
Maryland women's basketball has high expectations this season after a shocking upset loss to Texas in the Sweet 16. With the toughest schedule in the country, some marquee non-conference games should help prepare the Terps for a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Win or lose, it's going to be a learning experience. I think we play 7 of the top 10 teams, and we're one of them, this season, which is great. I mean, what is better than that than to get you prepared for NCAA? So yes, they're going to be tough, but we can take so many learning experiences from them. You want to play the best competition, and so I'm really excited, and I think everyone's really excited that we're able to do that so early on.
Not even 2 weeks into the season, the Terps have a 3-game stretch where they face Baylor, North Carolina State, and Stanford in a span of a week. The Big Ten has also gone stronger, and the Terps have plenty of big games to establish themselves as title contenders once again.
It's just taking one game at a time, right? Whether it's in November or whether it's in March, right? And just every day you have to prepare for the upcoming opponent, right? We don't want to look past November or December to March, right? Because then we're not going to be prepared, right? So just every day, every game, just taking what the defense gives you, working hard, and hopefully the ball falls our way.
We'll talk with the director of the Hoosier Network in Indiana to preview this Saturday's homecoming game.
And more of the content you've been waiting for, your top 5 plays, Terp of the Week, and Pro Terps are coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Dad. I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Dad. That's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Welcome back to the Left Bench TV.
Maryland football's homecoming game against Indiana may prove crucial when it comes to bowl eligibility. To help preview the matchup, the director of the Hoosier Network, Griffin Gonzalez, joins us to preview this Saturday's game. Thank you so much for joining us, Griffin.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Time the Hoosiers came to the park, Indiana football looked a little different. Tell us how the football program has evolved at IU since 2019.
Well, it starts with the fact there's going to most likely be starting a true freshman quarterback on Saturday against you guys. And I just really think this is an Indiana team that has struggled to find an offensive identity all season long. And when you're on your third-string quarterback, a kid who's a true freshman, has only been out of high school for a matter of months, it's kind of even harder to find that true offensive identity. This is an Indiana team that is one of 5 Power 5 programs, not in the top 100 in offensive production in the country, according to PFF. And it's an offense that just needs to get better and find some life. So when they find that, this is going to be an offense that can find success, but I don't know if they're going to be able to in the Big Ten East.
These two teams met in Bloomington during the wild 2020 season. Indiana handled the Terps in the second half. But the Hoosier star quarterback Michael Penix Jr. went down with a season-ending leg injury, and Penix has struggled against the season with injuries. What's the status of Penix for this Saturday?
Penix has been listed week to week. I'm hearing they're not too probable with him this Saturday. They talked today at the press conference. It does not sound like they're very confident with him moving forward. They're confident for maybe weeks ahead. Maybe he can finish out the season. But they do not sound confident for him against Maryland. It sounds like it's going to be Jack Tuttle week to week, Michael Penix week to week, and it sounds like Donovan McCulley is going to be the guy they're going to go to on Saturday.
Who will be commanding the Indiana offense in Michael Penix's absence?
It's going to be mainly Donovan, but I also look at the running back room. Stephen Carr has been absolutely phenomenal, the transfer out of USC. He's been a huge production guy for the Hoosiers this year, and they really just continue to ride with him. He's been their guy. He's a ground and pound runner. He's going to fight for every extra yard he can get, which has been great because this is an Indiana offense that has not had a lot of yards to have to begin with. So I think they're going to look to him. They're going to look to guys like Ty Freifogel to get open on routes. And hopefully we'll see what this Indiana offense can do. I know they've had a tough go, but I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air not playing a top 10 team coming into this week.
And just like Maryland, the Hoosiers are coming off of a tough loss, a 54-7 beatdown at the hands of Ohio State. Does Indiana view this matchup as a sort of bounce-back game?
It's definitely a confidence builder, guys. I mean, this is a team that has had to play the majority of their games against top 10 teams in the country. I don't know if there's a team in the country who's had a tougher start to their season than Indiana as far as who they've had to play and when they've had to play them. I mean, you opened the season on a road against an Iowa team that was looking to be playoff bound for a few weeks there, and then you're playing a top 10 team every other week. So it's certainly been a challenge. I think Indiana's looking at the next 6 games of their schedule as, hey, at least we're not playing, playoff semifinal bowl games. They're playing the Marylands, the Rutgers, the bottom halves of the Big Ten, if you will. So I think Indiana's maybe not looking at it as a comeback game, but definitely looking at it as a breath of fresh air, if you will, compared to the teams they've had to play the past couple of weeks.
Thanks, Griffin. You can stay up to date with Griffin and the Hoosiers at thehoosiernetwork.com. Despite the loss at Minnesota this weekend, Maryland football still made its way to our top 5 plays this week. And here we go. Up first at number 5 is the moment everyone was talking about at halftime, when Minnesota went for 3 at the end of the second quarter, but Tar Heels still said not today. After the block, Jacorian Bennett and company couldn't scramble to scoop it up for a touchdown, but it definitely got fans excited for the second half.
In at number 4, off an assist from Juliana Tornetta, BB Donrat clinched the upset win in Ann Arbor, and her team went crazy for it.
And at number 3, off a pass from Tagovailoa, Marcus Fleming works his magic in the end zone with a one-handed catch for 6. And it's so good we just have to watch it again in slow-mo. Fleming is one of the many receivers Loxley has been looking to step up after injuries to Dante Demas and Jayshon Jones.
At number 2, we've got freshman standout Joshua BOLMA with this beautiful kick, finding the back of the net, then having quite the celebration with his teammates.
And now the moment you've been waiting for. At number 1, we have sophomore Sydney Dowler completing an unbelievable kill to give the Terps some momentum in the 4th set against Michigan State, helping them to pull out the win. She also hit a career milestone of 1,000 assists on Saturday night.
And for our Terp of the Week, we're going to stay at the Pavilion. Sophomore Sam Sire has totaled 39 kills over the Terps' last 2 matches, including 19 against Michigan State this weekend. Sire has been a driving force in all of the Terps' wins this season, and Saturday marked her 3rd straight match with over 10 kills. With 270 on the year, she is inching closer to surpassing Erica Pritchard's team high of 285 kills last spring.
And now it's time to crown this week's Pro Terp. And I have 65 million reasons why Kevin Huerter is our guy. Huerter is only averaging 5 points through 2 games with the Atlanta Hawks this season, but he gets the nod because of the 4-year, $65 million contract extension he signed with the Hawks last week. Congrats to Kevin, who's getting his bag after 3 solid years in the league.
Last week, Maryland men's basketball unofficially kicked off its season with the 50th anniversary edition of the Midnight Mile at Kehoe Track here on campus. Our Julia Joseph was there as Terp fans set the attendance record for the event.
In 1971, Lefty Drizel started the Midnight Mile. They had a track, they had cars with their lights on, and
At 12:03 this morning, the Maryland men's basketball team welcomed over 1,000 students to Kehoe Track to keep alive Midnight Madness, a tradition dating back 50 years. On October 15th, 1971, it was the first possible day for an NCAA basketball team to hold a practice. Head coach at the time, Lefty Drizel, held a mandatory 1-mile run around the track just 3 minutes after midnight to mark the beginning of the men's basketball season. Lefty wanted his Terps to be the first college hoops team practicing in the country, and that they were.
I was so excited to be back on campus and have the opportunity to be a part of the Spirit and support the basketball team. It was a great opportunity, so it's amazing.
UMD students and the basketball team laced up to run a mile together, followed by talking to the players and taking photographs. As fun of an opportunity it is for the students,
Beautiful, like school spirit, school pride. I just think it's amazing that they get the community involved in everything, and
it's just as rewarding for the players.
Oh yeah, it makes us very excited. Just looking forward to the next couple of weeks, getting prepared for the season, and just knowing that it's going to be electric in there.
You know, last year we had COVID. You know, a lot of things just wasn't the same. You know, now we got students back. You know, restrictions are limited. You know, it's kind of off and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm just having fun.
Beginning in 2013, teams were permitted to start holding practices 6 weeks before their first game. But Maryland still keeps this mid-October tradition alive, keeping the Terrapin spirit strong decades later. For the Left Bench TV,
Go Terps!
I'm Julia Joseph.
You know, Lauren, I'm so excited for basketball season. It's been so long since Xfinity Center has been packed like it's going to be packed this year.
I know.
What about you?
I'm really looking forward to it. I was a freshman last year, so we never got to go to Xfinity and experience the basketball game, so I think it's going to be amazing for everybody. Well, that does it for this edition of the Left Bench TV.
Be sure to keep up with all of our coverage of Maryland athletics on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Left Bench.
We'll see you next time.